What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Bland back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast, episode 314. How is everybody doing? Shout out to everybody in chat. Appreciate all you beautiful people. What's up, Poison, Louise, Talos? I saw Zinc in here. Retweet that link. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live, man. Appreciate you guys. Hopefully, you guys are all having a beautiful, beautiful Saturday evening, man. We're going to get you guys right this weekend. We got a lot to talk about, man. Got a lot of shit to cover. A lot of great gaming topics. We got another awesome guest. Haven't been here in a little bit, but we always love to have some returning guests, especially this one for sure. We might have another person dropping in. So once again, retweet that link. Let everybody know we're live. But let's get to our guest, man. We got a lot to talk about. We ain't gonna waste too much time here. But let's get to our guest, man. What's up, Dave? How you doing, man? Here again at the Shop Podcast, man. Let everybody know where they can find you, Dave.
Oh man, I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much. It's Outbreak Gamers at Outbreak Gamers is where you can find me, and I'm so excited to be here tonight. And of course, my gosh, Fuzzy Belvedere and Pong Soul, man, staples. Like we were talking earlier, your guys' chemistry, and you've been doing this for years now, is second to none, man. You guys are awesome together. So thank you so much for having me on tonight.
Thank you, man. We appreciate that. I'm sure my fellows will say that here shortly, but we appreciate having you on, Dave. Once again, guys, outbreakgamers.com. Go check him out, man. He was on the GCP this morning as well, too. So shout out to Asante. Shout out to Everborn, man. Great show this morning. Shout out to you, Dave. Look good, man. Great show.
Thanks, buddy.
Not a problem. But we're glad to have you here, man. Once again, you guys, we roll out the red carpet for the guests here at the shop. So you guys know what to do. Go follow him. All that information in the chat. I believe the mod of the year Shown who's here. He gonna post all of that. But if you missed that, it's all down in the description as well, man. All of that's there. Easy click. Please go do that. Show that support for him taking the time out and coming hanging out with us, man. So let's go ahead and throw this over to my two right-hand man, two of the best people in gaming, man. They make this look easy. They make this work every single week for us here at the Shop Podcast. We're gonna start with you, Mr. Pong Soul Pong Harvey. How you been, brother?
I've been doing great, sir. Fantastic to have Dave here. Always a good time to chat with him. Obviously, just an amazing member of this community, and honored to have him as always. Because again, he brings a nice, cool, easy perspective, different takes, and I love it all the time. I have conversations with him. It's gonna be back here with my brothers too. It's been one heck of a week. Again, gaming news starting to ramp up a little bit. We're headed towards Gamescom here, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Starfield's a couple weeks away. Let's go. So things are getting riled up here, but in the meantime, it's been Baldur's Gate, man. I did try out Quake 2. I did download that, got back on the console, got out of my PCMR state for a minute. Tried some Baldur's Gate 2, or excuse me, see, I got it on my head. I got it on the mind. Quake 2 did an awesome job with it. Mav was talking about the other night on PM to PM, so I had to go check it out. Played some single player, and then actually jumped in for a few matches of multiplayer.
Nice.
And crazy. My God, playing Quake 2 in 2023 with some upgrades, 4K 120. Holy
man, we
cow.
need that Unreal Tournament back. That Unreal
yeah, we need that
man.
too. But I'm hoping that this brings a Quake reboot, obviously.
Yeah,
even if I can't play the multiplayer anymore, the single player is absolutely incredible. If you're, anybody that's a fan of Doom or any of those style of games, Wolfenstein, the old school, go play Quake 2. Again, on Game Pass, $10 otherwise to buy. What a deal. We got games coming out at $50 for ports, and we got Quake 2 dropping for $10. Go spend your $10
Right?
and save
now.
yourself $40, okay? Quake 2 is amazing. They did a nice job with it from what I've played so far. No bugs, no hiccups, no nothing. Smooth as silk. Great game. Played a little Bro Force Forever as well, which dropped in the Game Pass this week.
About that.
Yeah, man. Talk about a game that just knows what it is. 2D shooter. That's all it is, right? That's all it is, and leads heavy into all your 80s and 90s
Nice.
action movies with the with the characters, just like Rambo and Bruce, obviously, and John McClane, I should say. Everybody. It's just pure fun, and so I tried that out. But Baldur's Gate 3. captured my heart, has captured my heart. This game is game of the year for sure for me right now up until Starfield launch. We'll see if Starfield will do what I assume it will do and surpass it. But right now, Baldur's Gate 3 is game of the year, easily over even Diablo 4, which was obviously my game of the year up to this point, my personal game of the year. This is a masterpiece. It's not perfect. Depending on your PC, depending your experience can vary. As we all know, I've been experiencing heavy crashes in the Underdark, which is a known issue. They've been hot fixing it. So I'm not going to sit here and claim this game is the most optimized, perfect game ever of all time.
Yeah.
It's not. It's got its problems. Larian is working on them. But again, with PC, as I'm learning firsthand, as everybody's always told me, it's a crapshoot, man. Some games are going to be great, and then other games you're going to be having the issues, and I'm having the issues with the crashes. But outside of the crashes, this is a absolute masterpiece from a game standpoint as far as the gameplay goes, the vision, the mechanics, the everything, acting, choices, consequences. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger the further you get into it. You think you're clearing out an area, and then you find a super secret area, and the next thing you know, you're in a gigantic underground system of caverns or underground buried castles, and you're just like, oh my god, where is this game taking me? But my god, there is no better feeling than the battles and having strategies work and everything come together the way that you planned it. This game has all of that in spades. Larian has done just a superb job on giving you that D&D experience in video game form. Nobody's ever done it better than this. So all the praise that's being heaped upon it, well deserved, and I'm loving the hell out of it. So that's been my week of gaming here. So let's get down to business.
That is high praise. Basically, he's just waiting on Starfield to see if it's going to be game of the year because it's already decided in his mind. That's crazy.
It's over.
And we're August. So mind you, none of this other stuff is coming out yet. No Spider-Man, no one of this other stuff. So like outside of Starfield, like you said, that's
if
probably
Starfield's not going to win, Baldur's Gate 3 winning would be the absolute cherry on top to this year being the greatest year in the history of video games, which I still believe it will be, if not already. Baldur's Gate 3 winning it, showing the world that you can lean heavy into what you are as a game and don't have to make it mass appeal. That would be the cherry on top to send the message to the rest of the industry. Listen, be what you are. Something got you to the success level that you saw in your franchise. Don't change it to try to become more mass appeal. Just do what you do. The hardcore will show up, and then everybody else will follow if your game is great. That's what Baldur's Gate doing. So I hope it does actually win a game of the year because I want that message sent loud and clear.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear, man. So once again, I don't need to go tell you guys to play it. The praises have been showering down upon Larian and Baldur's Gate 3 for the last week or so. It looks like it's another juggernaut. I've already said it. I said it a month, 2 months ago, probably right after the Xbox showcase, that this was already the best year in the history of gaming since I've been playing video games personally. And this has done nothing but solidify that. Starfield will probably double stamp that this is probably the best year in video game history. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. How you been, bro? I know we just got off Diablo. I know we've been playing at least a little bit of, but how you been, bro?
Well, I've been doing pretty good. Glad to be here with you guys. Glad we got Web Dave here, and may even have some more people join in with us later on tonight. But man, got a lot of stuff to talk about when it comes to Forza. It's definitely going to be a conversation, but man, we got some other interesting topics, Twitter being what it is, or the app formerly known as Twitter being what it is, people losing their minds over stuff that they really don't even care about. But we'll get into it. But man, glad to be here with you guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Yeah, strap in. We're definitely going to have some stuff to talk about.
Oh, yeah, man. Let's dive into it. And once again, chat, retweet that link. Let everybody know we're live, man. Jump in here. Get in here. This is where we have fun. Shout out to Ashtray Blue. I knew you two frauds are going to show up every single week. Appreciate you guys hanging out, man. Everybody in chat, you guys are fucking awesome. Coming out, hanging out with us here, man. We got so much to cover and talk about. We actually will get into the poll of the week this week, man. We had another amazing poll of the week. So shout out to the over 300 people that voted on the poll. This week we had another amazing one, man. So this we're gonna start with you, Dave, on this one, but I'm gonna go ahead and read off the poll of the week and then we'll dive into the options. But this week was what video game genre has seen the biggest resurgence in 2023. It's kind of ironic because we were just talking about this being the biggest year in video game history. So I had a couple of different options. I have fighters, traditional RPGs, horror games, and then others, just to kind of leave it open. Traditional RPGs ran away 55% of the vote. So a little bit more than half the people said traditional RPGs have made the jump. I tend to agree with that. Dave, where are you at on this, man, as far as 2023, those genres or the other option? And as well, let me know, chat, what do you guys think about this as well? Where you at on the option? Which one do you choose, Dave?
Well, I mean, that's definitely a good one for sure. But I would personally probably choose fighters because there's some good fighters, man. I mean, my God. And then, of course, the announcement of the Reach Weekend of KI, as well as, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter. I mean, Tekken. I mean, man, it's, to me, fighters is it's good to be a fighting game. That's all I'm saying. If you're a fighting fan, this is it.
All right. No, I agree. I 100% agree. There's a lot of fighting fans out there too. It's making a huge resurgence. That would have been probably closer to me. I thought this would be a little bit closer than it was. Although, when you look at something like Baldur's Gate 3 out of left field, it's hard to look at that game and really look at anything else and say it, like really, there's no other game, other genre making that kind of impact. As great as KI is, as great as MK is, what Baldur's Gate 3 is doing, what Starfield's probably going to do, those, like the peaks that those are going to reach, man, I don't know if KI or MK or Tekken are going to hit those. Maybe for fighter fans, they will. Maybe we're talking about two different groups of people, Dave. So maybe we're kind of splitting hairs on this, but I just think it's hard. Those peaks are really high. Like that Baldur's Gate and Starfield, those are going to look crazy by the end of the year, right? I don't know if you agree.
I agree. Yeah, there's no wanting for goodness this year.
Yeah, no.
And then that's the nice thing about it, is that a lot of people are going to be really happy because of all the different, diversity in games that are coming out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So chat, let us know where you're at on that too. Which ones you guys vote on the poll? Did you guys think the fighters made the biggest leap, traditional RPGs or horror games? Let us see down in chat. Once again, retweet the link, let everybody know we're live. So I'm gonna throw this over to my right hand man. We're gonna start with you on this one, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. I'm assuming where you're going on this one, but let me know where you're at. What'd you choose, man?
I went with fighters only because the tail end of 2023, we also got King of Fighters.
I missed that one.
And then from an Xbox standpoint, we got Guilty Gear in Game Pass this year. We also got Street Fighter 6 came out this year. Tekken 8 might come out this year. Mortal Kombat 1's coming out later this year. The Killer Instinct announcement. It just seems like it's at least the fighters' time to shine. I could see how people would look at like traditional RPGs. Horror games is also another one that between remakes and some new ones like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you already had Dead Space earlier this year. You had Resident Evil earlier this year. That genre also made a nice comeback for this year. But I think fighters overall, because they are so limited overall, as far as in comparison to, like, you don't get many third party, like there aren't many new fighters coming out of the blue kind of thing. So all that considering, where you have most of the major ones making an appearance, I think the only one that hasn't really been talked about since Evo of last year is Virtual Fighter, which I thought they were supposed to make a return to Evo here soon, but that was something that they said last year, and I don't think we've heard anything since. But all the other ones are at least mentioned or coming out this year or coming out soon. So I think that's the biggest one, and it's a welcome return, I guess you could say, for the most part. So that's what I went with.
I agree with you. In chat, you guys might go this angle too, from a standpoint of, I feel like from where they were to where they are now, they've probably made the biggest jump compared to RPGs, because we have gotten better RPGs as of recently, definitely more recently than we have gotten a really good fighter, right? I think we all would agree on that. I think chat, you guys would agree on that as well. So I agree on that standpoint. I just think at the end of the day, when you look at Baldur's Gate, when you look at what Starfield's about to do,
Mhm.
no fighter is doing any, like, they're not going to
No.
reach that kind of peak.
I mean,
It's just maybe it's a like stylistic, like those games appeal to more people.
yeah, I would say the closest thing would be like with Street Fighter, you have the I guess it's called Battlegrounds. I can't remember what they call it exactly, or Fighting Grounds, where it's almost like a 2K park kind of thing, where you build your character and you fight with either AI or randoms on online to build up your character strength and do training and all that stuff. So there are kind of small, very small RPG elements in that too, but I would say that's been a bigger leap, almost as much as like when you had Justice. I guess Justice, not Justice League, but the
Injustice.
Injustice. Yeah, when they had the RPG elements to to like the different gear, so you can have different Batman outfits or different Superman outfits and things like that. That kind of was a nice jump in comparison to previous fighting genre games, but I think fighting games just need to come back. They don't have to make that much of a leap. Just be present, available for us to play and enjoy, and hopefully stick around for a good bit and probably milk us out of a couple of dollars as they release characters on a limited time basis and stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely glad fighters are back and whatnot.
Awesome. Same. I do agree, and I think they're gonna, that resurgence is awesome to see some of these genres coming back and making this huge resurgence. But we're gonna throw this over to you, Pong. And once again, I don't know if you agree with them as fighters. They make some damn good points. I got to be honest with you, because like I said, I would probably agree on the part that fighters probably have come or made the biggest jump from where they were to now, relative to RPGs. But where you at on this, brother?
I went with other. I can hear the arguments.
Okay.
I can hear the arguments, but you know where I'm going to come. I'm going to come with strategy and tactics. Strategy and tactic games are making a gigantic comeback. Age of Empires 2 coming to console, reinvigorated the entire franchise again on PC. Big time player numbers for that. You got Age of Empires 4 going to be dropping on console. Had a great release last year on PC as well. You've got things like StarCraft 2 having its biggest tournament in years, potentially a decade, $500,000 pot, right? You got Company Heroes 3 coming out on PC, also dropping into console as well. You've got tactics games like Midnight Suns, Marvel's Midnight Suns, just continuously gaining momentum, slowly but surely, more and more people playing those games. You've got games like Aliens Dark Descent dropping. You've got a Terminator tactics game, RTS game, strategy game coming as well later this year. Really, we've seen the return of this, and it has to show it proves itself because they're bringing them to the console, not just typically where it's always been is the PC. THQ Showcase, which we might touch on, that might be my topic a little bit later. THQ Showcase that we just had yesterday, there was 3 strategy games in there, right? We had Gord, we had The Last Train Home, and we also had Tempest Rising. All 3 strategy tactics games. Listen, there has been no genre that has seen a resurgence like this. And then you see a game which is, again, a classic CRPG like Baldur's Gate 3, which, sure, you can lump that into the RPG sector. You can. It is a straight up old school RPG, but CRPGs were at their core a tactic strategy type game because that's what the turn-based gameplay is. So for me, there has been no bigger resurgence that we've seen in 2023 than out of that genre. Again, you guys can call it niche all you want. You can, downplay them all you want. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I know what they are. But the fact is there is being more money dumped into these games than ever before that I've seen in a long time. You've got, you've got so many franchises continuing to dominate. Total War, again, continues to dominate with the Warhammer series, with the Warhammer side of things. So these games, Age of Wonders 4, which I was big all over, bought it day one, came to console as well as PC. There's just so many now. it really is the golden age of gaming. And I think that this genre, those genres kind of combined into one pool, have seen the biggest resurgence out of anything. But I can definitely hear fighters for sure. We have not seen fighters like this in a long time, especially if Mortal Kombat 1 hits the way we think it is, especially if Tekken 8 comes out, whether the end of this year or, you know, beginning of next year, whenever that does finally drop. That's looking spectacular. You know, you could say that is obviously an easy spot to point out in RPGs in general, but I would say RPGs in general are always around. We are always getting great RPGs. We have not stopped. At least recently, we have not stopped getting great RPGs ever. We just probably have seen bigger ones showing up lately.
I agree
but
with
again, they're always been there, and they've never really dipped. RPGs have been a staple of video games forever. So I went the other route on this one. That's
okay. I like that choice. I like that. That's not, I didn't think you were going to go there. That was a bit more specific, but I like that choice. So chat, what do you guys think? Which one did you guys choose? Now, I'm not going to give too much pushback on your choice, Pong. That was a great option, obviously. So chat, let us know what you guys choose, but we're going to wrap that poll of the week up. And once again, if you want to participate in that, all you got to do is go follow me on Twitter. All of the information is down in the description below. Post the poll of the week on Monday, then we talk about it here every Saturday at the Shop Podcast. So go do that right now, man. Shout out to everybody in chat watching live. But let's move on to the next topic, man. And I got one that I want to get into. This one's actually a little bit probably less known. We got this news probably a day or two ago, I would say. I want to talk a little bit about Black Myth Wukong showing up at Gamescom and like what that means. You know, this is a game we've talked about, you know, Pong, at great length, right? Like this is one we've been talking about ever since we first saw it. Where's it going to be? Whose logo is going to pop up at the end of the trailer, right? Is it going to show up at somebody's showcase? Like, is somebody going to go drop a bag? We didn't think it would be that expensive to go get, but with the hype, sometimes that hype can drive up the price, right? So we'll see where it's at, obviously. And they did come out and say that there's going to be all new gameplay showing opening at Gamescom. Now we also do know Xbox going to be at Gamescom. They're poised to have a big show. Now I don't know if we're going to tie the two together. I don't want to end up in some BS games rant article or something for saying something. But I don't want to tie them together. I mean, it don't get me wrong. I know we talked about Armored Core and the tie to Game Pass. Black Myth Wukong would be just isn't. I mean, I don't say just as big, but like I think that's a great get too. If it was to tie in somehow with that, but we'll get into it. We're gonna start with you, Dave. One, have you been following Black Myth Wukong, and what's your general interest in the game? What do you think about it showing up at we're getting new gameplay at Gamescom?
Oh man, I'm excited for it. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. I mean, the lighting, the textures, the overall game itself, and then the gameplay. I mean, yeah, I'm following it with a lot of interest. I'm hoping it doesn't get money handed last minute. That's one of the worries.
You mean either direction, like at all in general? You rather
be able to
play it?
I think everybody should be able to play it. I think it'd be great, or at least, I mean, now don't get me wrong. I'd love for it to have a window in Game Pass. That would be awesome. but I definitely it's one I'm looking to buy. So that's going to be a purchase if it's available on Xbox.
Okay. All right. I mean, it's a big game. We've talked about it here at Great Lynn Chat. You guys know off and on, ever since a couple years ago, we first saw that trailer that came out of nowhere that blew everybody's top off. Everybody was doing reactions on YouTube about it. It was such a big deal. And it's really only gotten better every time we saw it. And it almost is like unbelievable, Dave. At one point, and now mind you, we've seen it a bunch of times now, Dave, and it's kind of looked the same. Well, we've always wondered, like, is that really what the game's going to look like? Is the gameplay going to be that good? It almost looked too good to be true, Dave. I don't know if you ever got to that point watching it. Did you ever get to that point, like during it? Because I know a lot of people did.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is some games that are notoriously out there that are, we've seen some footage on. They've never made the light of day, and no playable form or anything, and so we don't know that that's the case. But for this, I really never struck me as that. It just really looks good, and it looks like something I would enjoy playing a lot. And the myth and the lore behind it is pretty amazing too. So I think it's really going to stretch. Be diverse all over the world. I think are going to want to play this, not just for the lore, but for the mechanics. It's exciting. I think it's great, and I personally can't wait to get a hold of it. But yeah, I think it's real. I really do think it's real. Yeah.
No, awesome. I mean, once again, we don't have no reason. Every time we saw it, it's looked exactly the way it, the first
Right.
time we saw it. So I don't really have a reason to believe it's not. So I don't want to bring that up either. I'm trying to beat those allegations as well. So we don't want to get that started. But
It's almost like too good to be true looking.
right?
It
Yeah,
does look
like,
great. You're right. No,
I mean,
it looked fantastic.
Yeah, no, for sure. But like ultimately, it's a game that like I'd love to see. We always said like there's a ton of talent out there, and I know Pong's preached this to death. Go over there and make noise. There's a lot of other territories down there: South Korea, China. A lot of that. I believe that's a Chinese dev. I'm pretty sure. Pong,
Yes,
I don't know if you can correct me on that. Okay,
that is correct.
So it is. Yeah, it is a Chinese dev. So once again, a ton of talent down that area. And I guess that we can just go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong. And you've always talked about this. Since we first saw this game, it's been one of those you said you don't think it would cost that much to go get. That it's something that just to have, like even if you had a marketing deal in place or something, maybe not full exclusivity, it'll be a nice grab.
Yep, just to make sure that it's on your ecosystem, right? Again, this is one of the ones that we pointed out early on that we didn't want Xbox to wind up losing, to a Sony deal. We saw Sony step in and get Stellar Blade.
Yeah.
You can't let that happen with Black Myth Wukong. Even if this game doesn't turn out to be necessarily as epic as it first appeared, it does not matter at the end of the day. The hype behind it, the name behind it, you've got to go get this and make sure that it's on your ecosystem if at all possible. Again, not every deal can be done. Not every deal makes sense for business. I get all of that, but this is one that you really need to have. So I hope that this, because we know PlayStation's not at Gamescom, right? We know that for a fact. They announced that they're not going to Gamescom.
Yeah, they're not going.
Xbox is there in a big, gigantic way, right? We saw this with Liza P last year, right? Don't forget, people.
And that was out of nowhere too.
Out of nowhere, out of left field, Liza P being a game that if you first saw it at first glance, it's got that Bloodborne kind of look to it. It's got that feel to it, that Souls-like. You would think, oh, this is a Sony game. This is a game that Sony's going to go grab. Well, lo and behold, it showed up at Gamescom underneath the Xbox flag, coming to Game Pass day and date. Now, like I said, with Black Myth Wukong, with the hype behind it, and we just also did get, I don't know if anybody was paying attention, but they did drop some updated screenshots of characters and environments that they've updated since we last saw it. They've done some changes to it. They're getting to that point where they're polishing and they're starting to make the final changes. They changed the main character a little bit and changed his look. And it looks fantastic. Again, I loved what they did. This is not necessarily going to be a game for me. This is going to be a Souls game. And I don't care about that. What I care about is that I want to see more of it. I think it would be a big, giant W if, again, for the push in the East especially, but again, we know how popular Souls games are overall, but the push in the East, we know how much work Phil, Sarah, everybody's been doing over there for Xbox in particular. So if we're talking about Xbox, this would be a big W to go get, at least the marketing rights. If they can announce a Game Pass deal this early and we can get a release date or at least a release window, if they're confident and they're ready to put that out there for next year. I know that was, kind of the mark that they kind of put out for themselves, but if they've kind of, narrowed it down and that can be for Xbox while Xbox is having this huge presence at Gamescom, hell yeah, go do it, get it done. Huge W for Xbox. But just in general, I just want to see what this team has been working on. I want to see the improvements because when we first saw it, it already looked gorgeous. But as Steele and I have talked about, we talked about this morning a little bit.
Shout out to Steele.
Shout out to Steele. Shout out to my brother. We had a nice 4.5, almost 5 hour show today. We talked about this a little bit. The East still has a little bit of that, hey, we're going to show you some high CGI quality shots. Like, this is what we're aiming for. But when the game actually drops, doesn't necessarily show up that way. They got a little Watch Dogs, a little Division. We went through that whole debacle that kind of changed things over here in the West, right? They haven't really had those moments yet, but we've seen that as more and more devs are popping up from Korea and from China. Some things have been looking too good to be true, right? And so I want to see what this team has had. Now the thing with Black Myth Wukong was when they first showed it to us, the main guy who was a pretty much lone developer for a while, now he's got a team behind him and they're doing their thing. But when they first showed it off, he talked about how unhappy he was with how it showed, like some of the fog effects. And most of us were scratching our heads going,
what the hell are you talking about?
What are you talking about,
yeah.
brother? This game's looking better than 90% of the games out right now. What are you talking about? But the fact that he came out and said that, and that there was so much work to be done, and that was what, 2.5 years ago now?
About
3 years ago?
About two.
So I want to see what they've been doing all this time. I want to see what he was himself talking about and what improvements they've made. And again, these types of games matter when we get them in our hands. Frame rates, mechanics, dodge, parry, all of that has to be on point, right? Otherwise, the Souls genre doesn't work very well, because those are the key points of the game. It can look gorgeous, but if the gameplay ain't right, if the controls aren't down pat, if you got any lag in there, you're going to hear about it from the Souls community, because that's your whole game. You can't dodge, parry, and do all the things necessary to get out of the way of these gigantic bosses if that isn't all together and polished. So that's where it's really going to shine. But hopefully that's what we get at Gamescom. We get a nice look at it. I want to see the updates. And again, if there's an Xbox reveal to talk about there, if there's a deal in place, great. It'll be awesome for Xbox to say, hey, we got this lockdown. Sony's not coming in, sniping this at midnight, right?
So like what are the odds then? Because I mean, we know. So let's rewind this a little bit, Pong. Yeah, there's two things we do know. Xbox is going to be there in a big way. Mm-hmm. Sony's not going to be there at all. Now, I'm not saying that Sony won't have a presence there, because those are two different questions, right? Those are two different things. But they're far less likely, because they're not going to be there, right? They're far less likely to show anything or really have any large presence. So, I mean, you can kind of, I mean, we might be pie in the sky here, but you can kind of see, where that might line up.
I think there's a greater than 50-50 chance that it's there for Xbox. Okay. I think that Xbox, I think that this was put on the map to them early enough when they first showed. They saw the hype. Do you remember how many people on Twitter were tagging them? We're tagging Phil and tagging. Remember that? Oh, yeah. Don't let this one. I think there was no way that they let this one slip through the cracks. If there was a deal to be done, I think that Phil and Sarah made this one happen, because I think that this was one of those games that they had to have noticed early and said, yeah, this one we got to make sure this one's locked down in some way, shape, or form. So I think that there was a deal to be made. It's been done. And I think there's a greater than 50-50 chance that it being there, it might be on the floor for Xbox. It might be in that playable state on Xbox. We'll see. But I think there's a greater than 50-50 chance that this is under Xbox in some way. I'm not saying exclusive. I'm not even saying Game Pass deal per se, but marketing rights, I think there's a good potential of that.
Yeah. No, awesome. And Zinc, obviously, right? Like, God damn it, Zinc. But shout out to you, my brother. Appreciate you being here. What's up, Calorie, as well, dropping it. What's up, Why So Serious? But, I mean, we'll see. Like you said, there's a great damn chance. I mean, we don't know. It's crazy because, like, we can really talk about this, Pong, because especially coming out of this ABK deal, when we really, it was revealed that these execs really do think about these kind of deals. These things are really on their minds, and they have lists that they're looking at. You know what I mean? Like, from games to IPs to publishers to studios. Like, these things are actually more realistic now when you say them.
Yes. Yeah, because there's always going to be we know for a fact that there's priority lists. We know for a fact that they are, again, keeping tabs on games, studios, publishers like this. And, again, does it always work out? No, it's business. It doesn't always work out. And we wish that they always did, but it doesn't. But again, at the end of the day, this game, for sure, we've got to believe that it was on the high priority list for their push in the East, especially. Again, we saw it with Liza P. They obviously made Liza P a priority before any of us knew about that game. They obviously said, yeah, that's a game we definitely need. Continue that diversity lineup underneath Xbox. We need more games like that. Black Myth Wukong fits right in there as well. So, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Great take, Pong. So once again, that's a game. You can go back in the archives, chat. Like we've had our eye on this game. We've everybody. Look at the hype around the game, Pong. Like I was saying, the internet went crazy. It was trending that day when we first saw the trailer. Almost every time.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, almost every time they showed it. Remember, it was shown in the video too. The video showed it off as well too. So like, there's some credence behind like if NVIDIA is showing the gameplay at their conference, there's a credence to like how it looks and so the performance of the game. So we'll throw this over to you, Fuzz. Once again, Black Myth Wukong. I'm not necessarily saying that we're going to get a Game Pass deal, even we're going to get a marketing deal. I do think Pong is right about this, that this is on somebody's radar. Like this is a ping on probably, at least PlayStation and Xbox's radar for sure.
Well, and there's a lot of, dots that can be connected in this. Like the fact that Sony's not going to be there, the fact that Xbox is going to be there and be there in a big way. We know this isn't probably going to run on a Switch. So I would say if it's not standalone advertising, which is possible, I would say it's more than likely going to have some sort of association with Xbox, and that's a good thing. I mean, all things considered, this is something that, like you said, there was a number of us that tagged Phil, and he probably hated his phone that day because of the, all the notifications and stuff. But he saw this game just the way we did, and him being a gamer, he probably was like, "Yep, yeah, we gotta get on a plane and go over there and make a deal." Will it make Game Pass? That's the bigger question. I mean, Liza P made Game Pass. That was a left field surprise kind of thing. This one has a little bit more eyes and buzz about it than Liza P.
Definitely, but I would agree with that.
I think it's within their reason or within their reach to be able to work out something. But I think it at least gets shown on that stage. It may not be a playable thing, but at least show the trailer being associated with Xbox. And I think this might be one of those surprises. Like I think we get 2 or 3 surprises there. Other than the stuff that we've already seen from, Xbox Wire, as far as what's going to be at Gamescom for them. I think this might be one of those, one more, not really one more thing, but hey, by the way, we have the marketing rights, but not saying it exactly like that, but showing just the new trailer. And at that point, you kind of know that they have some sort of marketing deal with them.
Well, the rumor is that it is actually going to be playable at Gamescom.
Really?
That's the rumor outstanding right now. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
So if it's playable, unless they paid, which is possible that they could pay their own money for a booth, but I would have to assume that that's going to be a lot of extra money to do so. And I'm pretty sure Xbox would be like, hey, just, we'll make space for you guys. And
quick question,
just
is there any
give
other
us
publisher
early
that
access
took advantage of this?
or some sort of deal that they could work out. I would think that it's going to be shown somewhere in the Xbox vicinity, associated with Xbox or play, like you said, if it's playable, be playable somewhere near some of the other playable titles that they're going to have there.
Quick question, Fuss.
Yeah.
Who's publishing this game? Do we know?
I don't think that's even been mentioned as of yet. So that's
could that be a thing as well?
Yeah,
could be.
Yeah,
I mean, because it doesn't have to be Xbox. It could be Ubi. It could be,
Ubisoft. That would be a stretch. I could see possibly EA, but EA, I don't know that they would. I mean, they've done some publishing as far as like the It Takes Two and his other game, and then they have that Monster Hunter like game that they published. So I could see them possibly being publishing or have publishing to it, but I still think, considering how big of a entourage they're taking over to, or that Xbox is taking over to Gamescom, it feels like something they would do, especially given that they're going to have pretty much their whole field team there on the grounds and stuff like that. So they'll be answering questions and talking about stuff and whatnot. So I would not be surprised if it's, playable in the Xbox section. Game Pass would be an awesome announcement, but yeah, I'm leaning 60-40 or maybe even 70-30 that it will be like somehow associated with Xbox.
Yeah.
Even if it's just marketing.
All right. So chat, I got to ask you guys, and you guys got to let me know, chat, where are we at on this? Xbox, yes or no? Game Pass, yes or no? Let me know right now in chat. Xbox, yes or no? I mean, is it going to be shown at with Xbox Game Pass, yes or no? So drop that right now in the chat. Let us know how you feel about that, because this is very, very interesting. And that publishing thing, and I want to throw this back to you, Dave. That publishing thing is interesting too. It's in China. So I mean, I don't really know who the big publisher is in China. Like, I don't know who runs the show over there. But I mean, can you see that being kind of like where this goes as well, depending on who's publishing it?
Well, it could be. I mean, Bandai Namco is another company that does a lot of publishing
that's
for
true.
other
They do a bunch.
developers. They do. From Software is another big one. So yeah, that's it's so up in the air right now. But I mean, it's really looking good for Xbox. But I don't want to jinx it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel you,
we
I
know
feel
it's
you.
coming to PC, so that's a
For
definite.
sure,
It's
at
coming
least,
to PC.
definitely. Well, you got PC Game Pass too, to kind of on the
there
back
you go.
burner. I mean,
Look at,
if it don't make the Xbox,
Yep.
Anyway, go ahead.
No, you're right. That's a very good point. Just looking at what I can find online, that it's it says it's coming to mainstream consoles. It's kind of the little tag that they threw out there. So mainstream consoles would be PlayStation
Everything
5,
except Switch.
Xbox Series X and S. So let's hopefully, it comes to those. Like you guys said too. I don't think that it's going to come to the Switch. Just don't see it doing that. I mean, the game looks really amazing. It looks really, really good.
UE5, by the way, I believe, right? Is it confirmed UE5 or no? I believe it is, though, right? Pong, no?
I believe
chat is UE5. I believe chat, right?
So. I believe it was UE5.
Yes.
I think it's confirmed UE5. Let us know, chat.
Yeah, it looks amazing, man. I really think that
it's UE5.
All right.
Microsoft really needs to make sure that they, at least if they don't lock it down for themselves exclusively, they at least make sure that it doesn't go exclusive the other way. That's probably the biggest thing is that they need to make sure that they have some kind of, with its marketing or something, or at least so that it doesn't go to where you can't play it. That would be that would be such a loss. Because it's, like I said, it looks like an amazing game.
Yeah, definitely.
Can't wait to play it.
Same. Like, chat, and you guys know, like, I'm not even into I bought Elden Ring. I'm not even gonna lie, chat. I'd never cap to you guys. I promise you. I bought Elden Ring on FOMO just because everybody was getting it. I don't want to feel left out. I bought it. I still can't really get into the genre, but that damn Wukong looks amazing, man. That gameplay, it looks almost as good as anything I've ever seen, from like crisp and just creativity with the different bosses and the large. It looks amazing. It looks like everything Elden Ring is. In some instances, maybe even a little more. They even go a little bit more extreme in some cases. I know that might be taboo to say, but we all saw the footage. We saw it, right? Like, it looked incredible. It looked incredible, for sure. But I want to throw something back to Pong before we move on to the next topic here, because I'm really into this Wukong stuff, man. So Pong, right? If you're pulling the trigger here, I mean, what are you most likely leaning Xbox? I know you said you're kind of more than 50% on this. So if you're Xbox, your priority would have been Game Pass first, get it on Game Pass. Had you been able to make a deal, or get the marketing first? Regardless.
No. If you can pull off the Game Pass deal, if they're looking to make a deal like that, absolutely, because it would be a huge. We know the Game Pass effect. We've talked about it a million times. It doesn't have to be exclusive for it to make an impact when it comes to Xbox. If you get the Game Pass deal, that game generally becomes associated with Xbox in the minds of a lot of people, because obviously everybody goes, oh, so if I got Game Pass, I don't have to spend the $60, $70 out the gate to download this game. On top of all the people that are on the fence that go, oh, so if I've got Xbox and I've got Game Pass, I can try this game out and see for myself if this is a game that I want to jump into. I don't have to worry about, throwing the money at it and then being disappointed or saying, nope, not a game for me. I should have known better. So again, with that Game Pass effect, it has a huge, huge impact. So if there was any deal to be cut here, if there was any way, and again, fresh developer, sure, there's a lot of hype, but let's be real. This is a first-time developer, a guy who was developing pretty much as a solo dev, got his name out there, then built out his team while, and again, I think that the veterans that he got, there was a lot of veterans. I believe there were a lot of Tencent developers, former Tencent
I was going to say
developers.
Tencent as well.
Yeah, a lot of former Tencent developers. So again, if there was a way that Phil could do it, for sure, I'd hit the Game Pass deal first, no matter what. Even if they didn't want to give up marketing rights, just lock it into place for Game Pass. Whenever it drops, it's good to go. Big W for the ecosystem, no matter when it hits. So 100.
Same, 100% agree. Go ahead.
Hey, Blam, I put the official website for the game in private chat for you to check out. My God, looking at the still images and the website, the quality is.
If we can get that link in chat, that would be great as well. I mean, maybe if we can. So
if somebody wants to cut and paste it that has admin abilities.
There we go. That would be great. But yeah, it's listen, we all seen this game, chat, and it looks amazing. This is a big deal, and it's not unironic. It's shout out to Fuzz. Thank you for doing that, Fuzz. It's not unironic that I just don't think it's unironic that this game is going to finally be shown at Gamescom, and Xbox is coming back to Gamescom. This is their big foray back, welcome back to Gamescom, and this is a big show for them. They prioritize Gamescom. In years past, they haven't, right? So this is, if you want to make a big impression, that's how you do it. You go out and get something like Wukong. Like you said, it doesn't have to be exclusive. I don't care about that. I love for everybody to be able to have access and play this game. Hell, if it can be run on the Switch, I'd love it to run there too, but that's not happening. That's a pipe dream. Maybe Switch 2, but that might even be a stretch. So ultimately, even a Game Pass deal, marketing deal, something, even with just, hey, it's going to be here. Like we saw it's associated with Xbox. That'd be great. I want to see so much more of this game, but I'm gonna go ahead. I want to talk too much to death about this. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next topic. Chat, you guys have been freaking awesome. Shout out to everybody. Make sure you hit that link. It's been a great show so far. Shout out to you, Web Dave, for hanging out with us as well, brother. But I'm gonna throw this over to my compadres here. We're gonna start with you, Fuzz, because I know you got to get your bars off. Fuzz got some pent up frustration that we got to get some shit off this week.
Well, I'll start it off fairly light. I don't know how many of you may have seen the Forza Monthly this Friday, where they went a little bit into deeper details as far as the Forza multiplayer, and they had some very interesting and new things to discuss as far as the different modes where you have kind of like a featured online racing where it's basically a set of spec races as well as a mixture of different either year range of cars or a particular brand of cars, things along those lines, where think of it as all right, your daily races might be something like a mix of GT3 and GT4 type cars, and then you might have MX5 cup cars where all the cars are basically tuned to be balanced the same. So it's more about the driver's ability as opposed to who can, put the best tune together for the car. And then the other part of it is going to be the open online, where with open, it's more of the traditional Forza where you're used to, building a car up to a certain class level, whether it be B class, which is in the 700 range, or A class in the 800 range, or even X class, which they used to have where it was the 1000 range or 999 range or something like that. But the big things that they went over briefly, at least, were track limits are going to be expanded, so that way you can use the full track. You can let the car coast out coming out of the turn and hit the rumble strips without having to worry about getting penalized. If you've played a lot of Forza Motorsport 7, their track limits were very restrictive, where you could either pick the ribbon or the little cones. And if you put more than 2 tires on the rumble strips on some corners, it would be considered a dirty lap, even though that's the way the actual drivers drive on that real track. A lot of times you would get penalized and not be able to have your time count towards the leaderboards and things like that. Now they're having it where the track restrictions are more open to the way the the actual driving lines are on the track. So that's a big step forward that they kind of brushed off. They didn't really go into too much detail, but that will definitely make your experience online a lot more refreshing and not have to worry about, oh, I got to run this lap again to be able to have it count kind of thing. Some other things that they went over were the safety number and your driver score. So you're going to have all the way from A, B, C, D, and F, and then S will be like the premium or at the very top, and F being at the very bottom. You know, somebody that's constantly ramming people off the track, they're going to be in the F tier. Someone that's definitely taking every precaution not to make contact, they're probably going to be in the S tier at that point. And then the points, the greater the number of driver points they have, typically the better they would be as far as a driver, but the safety would be more so on how their sportsmanship on track is, all tied in together. So those were huge for that announcement. And they had, towards the end, it was kind of like, without it necessarily being requested, they mentioned a few things that weren't going to make it into the new game, which, if you played 7, some of them weren't the best modes or best features, and then in some cases weren't even available in 7. So you had people kind of up in arms about split screen, which I kind of understand. If you're into split screen, it's definitely something that a lot of people like. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but like there are going to be some that are going to look forward to that feature, understandably. But if they've played it in 7 with it being more of a horizontal split screen as opposed to a vertical, yes, you get better field of view, but then the drawback is everything is kind of smushed, which that's not the best way to play like a sim racer, even if it's against your kid or a family member or a friend that's sitting on the couch with you type of deal. It would probably be better if the means are available to have, do the online version and just have it on separate consoles if at all possible. Although I kind of wish split screen would go away for like maybe a dual output mode from a console where you could put it out to 2 TVs or 2 monitors or whatever the case may be. But that might even make the cost of consoles go up even more. So we'll brush past that. But split screen's not going to be in it at launch. And I don't know if it's going to make it in as a added feature later on. They didn't go into too much depth on that. Spectator mode doesn't look like it's going to make it into this, and it's kind of understandable because each spectator would be taking up a slot for a racing slot. So if you want to have a race of 24 drivers and 4 people want to spectate, now you're only going to have 20. Or if 12 people want to spectate, now you're only going to have 12 race cars on track. So understandable. Maybe there's a way that they can work that out. And from some of the buzz on not necessarily the forums, but some of the private chats and things like that, it seems like that might be something they have a workaround, but it might be down the road type of deal. And then the last one is AI in the multiplayer, which this one is more jarring. Well, I wouldn't say jarring, but more disappointing to me. And I'll explain why. When you're doing a private race, usually, or at least on 7, it would just basically be like you and whoever else. So if it's like you and a couple of your friends, you go to race and do a private race, those are the only cars on track, which isn't a bad thing, but having the option to add AI to kind of fill out the field so there's 24 cars, so it feels like it's a more immersive race would be kind of cool. But that was the stuff that they kind of mentioned that wouldn't be there at launch. And I guess the big thing I wanted to throw at you guys, because I've probably been rambling a bit here too much, but I'll start with you,
man.
Dave.
Gotta get the bars off.
with some of the features that are not going to make it into Forza at launch, are there any in particular that you may have wanted to try or would be looking forward to? And if so, would it be better to delay the game, or do you think it would be better just to kind of give a rough timetable of, okay, this will be added in a year or something along those lines? What are your thoughts on that? Uh-oh.
There's
Is
Dave.
Dave on mute? No, he's not on mute.
No, I'm sorry. I realized you were coming to me. I'm
No,
sorry.
go ahead. You're
Yes,
good, Dave.
yes, Dave. No,
I
like
apologize.
for like the things that were missing, anything of the like whether it's the spectate mode, the split screen, or the AI for multiplayer, any of those modes or features
Well, the
with them missing
spectate
that
mode,
would.
I would say, would is probably the biggest thing that I wish they had more completed. The split screen, I
Mhm.
really don't think that. I mean, to me, because I mean, obviously there'll be times that you would use it and need it,
Mhm.
but it's more, it's something like that. It seems like you would play more online with your friends than you would split screen in your house with some,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just that seems like if that had to be, that's okay for them to wait on that if it means getting everything else right.
Okay.
And it delayed. I think it would be a huge mistake for them to delay the game. Um, with these features not in there,
Mhm.
to me, I'm fine with that. I
Yeah.
mean, do I want them? Of course, I want a complete game, and I know you are passionate about getting all these features in, and I'm there for you, man. I want you to have all these features, but I know that if you're able to get a hold of the game on release day,
Yeah.
and there's these few features that aren't there, but yet there's all this other amazing content and being able to play online and in races and everything. If you can do all that,
Mhm.
it seems like it's worth it. But I mean, because I guess the big thing is that they are still working on it,
Yeah.
so those things are coming. That just let's not hold up the launch with something like that, because I still am one of those believers that Halo didn't need a second wait, even though a lot of people are like, oh, it's going to miss this and this.
Yeah.
It needed to come out when it did. That's my
No,
opinion.
I agree with you on that. Like for me, even though I probably rambled a bit, split screen, I'm in a weird way kind of glad they removed it, only because from a resource standpoint, I I just I know, like I said, I know there's a few people that would probably play that mode, but if
Mhm.
it means that they can dedicate more of that, time and resource and effort into like the drag racing mode to bring in later or things like that, I would much rather have that than the split screen. Um, the spectate mode, it's the only I would say the only gotcha thing would be that, oh, GT7 has a spectate mode, but the little caveat being that their spectate mode winds up breaking every time they do an update. So it either breaks the camera or it breaks the track or it breaks something. So having a spectate mode in this game isn't that high on my list. I mean, it's kind of a cool feature, but
Mhm.
I'm not too concerned if it doesn't make it at launch.
Yeah.
Just looking at GT7, considering that their spectate mode, like I said, it's been broken since launch, and every update seems to either make it worse or they fix it, and then the next update breaks it again. So the only thing that I would say that I'm disappointed on would be the AI for the multiplayer to fill the field when it's a private multiplayer match. But I'm hoping they find or figure out a way to, bring it to fruition down the road. It doesn't have to be there at launch. Like I've already waited long enough for this game. I would say, given that they have a decent amount of cars and tracks, there's no need to delay. Like if there was something else major, like the cars keep on crashing or the game crashes, constantly. Yeah, that would be something for a delay. But missing some of those features, I think, considering, like you said, since it's going to be an ongoing supported game,
Mhm.
yeah, it's acceptable to kind of, go ahead and release it, and then just set out a timetable, a roadmap. Hey, this time frame we're going to update cars or add cars. This time frame we're going to add tracks. This time frame we're going to add features, things like that. But I'll swing this over to you, Pong. With the features that they listed as missing, are there any of the features that or were any of them noteworthy for you as far as playing Forza? And if so, would you prefer they delay it or just give us a like a timetable kind of thing of when to expect it?
Tough topic. Really tough because again, I think we've jumped past the point. We've jumped the shark. It's way past the point of saying don't put out this game unless it's feature complete. Again, I've had a couple of conversations now about this, and it's never easy because, again, for me, them talking about it created more of a talking point than if they had not talked about this, even if they are what they consider legacy things. Again, split screen. Who's playing split screen in Forza? Honestly, and again, I say that lightheartedly because I'm sure there are some people that have always played that in split screen. But let's be real, a lot of people didn't even know that it was something that existed, for God's sakes. I can't say that I ever knew existed outside of maybe just hearing about it once or twice somewhere, because really, I've never done it. So, none of that stuff bothered me. The AI multiplayer, like you just brought up, Fuzzy, I think was probably the most. But again, I don't play online. I'm a single player Forza guy, right? Yeah. So have I jumped into multiplayer matches? Yeah, I have. Now that I'm in this community and I have a bunch of people like you, Fuzzy, Steel, everybody here that does play Forza, would I be more likely to play a multiplayer game with a bunch of you guys? Yeah, of course I am. So do I look at that and go, would it be nice to have a full field? Yeah, of course. I think overall, it's really tough because some of the stuff that they did talk about being in there that may not be in there. Whenever a dev does that, I've said this now when I've talked about this, stop talking about specifics about your game until you're locked in. Again, I understand it's always nice to come out and make promises to your community about what's going to be there, about what's not going to be there early on. Yeah. But I think we've gotten to the point now to see that if you're talking about your game, a year in advance, 2 years in advance, prior to it launching, things are going to happen in your dev cycle that you're not aware of, that you probably don't.
You might have to run that back.
You might have to run it back. And let's be real. At the end of the day, none of us there's not going to ever be enough gamers that stand up and say, hey, we're not playing this game until this is all complete. That's going to make a difference at this juncture, right? We're in 2023. Yeah. Devs have been using this crutch, and we've talked about there's good things about being able to update your game constantly, and there's bad things, right? The good things are a game that's broken can be fixed, whereas back in the day, once it was broken, it was out, it was broken. We never got it fixed. Now that it can be fixed, but the bad side is publishers, devs get to the point where they say, let's just put the game out. We'll tell everybody, hey, we're sorry, these features aren't going to be here, or this level isn't going to be there, whatever. But we'll get those in there down the road, right? And that's become kind of a crutch at this point. So, all that being said, as far as your specific question goes, Fuzzy, drifting and drag racing are two big modes that I probably would have played. How much I would have played, that's dependent, but those are two that I go, I would have liked to see those there officially. Like Steel likes to bring up, before those modes were ever a thing, we were still figuring out ways to do that through custom games and that kind of stuff, and we were still doing it unofficially, but I would like to see those officially in there. The rest of it, outside of that, again, the AI multiplayer, just because I do expect to be jumping in with you guys at some point, that is also disappointing. To me, I don't have any concerns about Turn 10 and where this game's going to wind up. I don't have any concerns whatsoever. They're one of the best devs out there. I think this game is going to be gorgeous. Millions upon millions of people are going to jump in day one. The fact that I believe that this is more of a platform now, that we are going to a games as a service style with Forza, meaning that they're going to continuously be adding no matter what, does give them a little leeway, because we as gamers in 2023 have all become accustomed to this. As much as we like to talk about, hey, I love a game to be feature complete. Yeah, that's great, but let's be real. All of us have sat back and said, nah, it's not a problem. We'll get it down the road. No big deal. Yeah, again, if you're going to charge $70 for the people that have to buy it, should it be feature complete when it launches? Absolutely. Any full price game should be. I just think that it'd be better for the devs overall to stop talking so much about their game in advance. Don't tell me anything. I've said this before, long before this Forza talk, before Redfall, before any of this stuff. If we need to go back to the days where we didn't hear about games until 3 months prior to launch, a month prior to launch, fine, do that. If you can't limit yourself as to what you're going to talk about and the promises you're going to make, then just don't say anything. because I think at the end of the day, the hit is bigger overall when you guys make those upfront statements, those claims that this game is going to be 4K 60 with ray tracing on track. Listen, if we're getting to the point where they've been awfully quiet about that stuff recently, like there's some questions now being raised about if that's going to be ready day one, that's a big hit. That's a big miss because you guys came out and promoted it so heavily. I understand things happen in devs. Most gamers, at least again, we're not talking about the masses here. The masses don't know anything about this. The masses won't even know that there was ever supposed to be a split screen mode once, right? They won't ever care about this. They won't ever know that potentially that there wasn't drag racing and drifting that were supposed to be in there right away. They don't know about it. It's us as the small percentage of enthusiasts who actually do pay attention, that get riled up about this stuff or talk about this stuff. And it is something that we do need to talk about since the devs themselves put it out there.
Yeah.
I think overall, it's just better to say less in the beginning until you guys get really close and you know for sure what's going to be on there. That's my biggest takeaway from all of this. But overall, am I still going to be here day one for Forza Motorsport? You're damn right I'm going to be. Am I going to enjoy the hell out of it? Of course I am. It's turn 10. This game is going to be spectacular. This has all become background noise. Everybody will wait for the features that they're waiting on. It'll eventually get there. It's going to be a nothing burger once the game drops, right? Yeah. So for the most part, for those that are affected, I do feel for you. I said this about Redfall. For those waiting on the 60 frames like myself, I feel for you. For the people that waited on Halo Infinite to have multiplayer or to have split screen co-op, I feel for you. Like we've seen this time and time again. It's not just Xbox. It's industry wide. Unfortunately, Xbox does have the double standard placed against them. They are expected to do more than others necessarily do, but we've seen this across the board, across many publishers and dev teams not coming out with their games in the form that we thought they were going to be at launch. I think we're past that point of really saying, hey, we need to get back to not, I think we're past the point of saying devs, hey, you can't use this as a crutch anymore. It's always going to be there where the devs say, we'll fix it later. Let's get it out the door right now. So that's where I'm at. I've rambled.
Awesome take as well. PTK.
Yes, sir.
What is your, I know you're not big into racing, but as far as the missing features, if you were to try out Forza, or any of them kind of like a standout of something that you would kind of want at the time when you go to play? And if so, is it worth the delay, or is it something like, as long as they can give you like at least like a timetable or a heads up, hey, expect it in a year or so or something like that, would that be sufficient? What do you say?
So we talked about this obviously pre-show, right? We were on Party Chat on Xbox. We talked about this. I knew it. I was like chomping at the bits as soon as I saw this. I was like, I got to talk to Fuzz about this, right? Because I know how much you feel, how much of enthusiasts. And I agree, Pong, I'm with you. I feel for the enthusiasts. But ultimately, I don't care that much. Because like in reality, that is not a big enough reason to delay a game that people have been waiting on 5 years, right? It comes out in October. 90% of the game works if it runs the way it should, if it looks the way that they've been shown it to look. Put the game out. It's that simple. Like I understand, like I get it. And Pong, you're 100% right. It is kind of a built-in crutch. It's kind of how we're at, with the advent of disc and and everything is digital. All these games just really being computer files. And being able to be updated on the fly, any day, time, overnight, patches being able to put out. Like, it's just a reality of where we're at right now. You know what I mean? So I understand. I really do understand. In a perfect world, this would never happen. Everybody would be Nintendo. Hell, even Nintendo put out Pokemon. That shit was broken. You know what I mean? Like, they're not perfect either. You know what I mean? So it just happens. And I'm not making an excuse for a dev. It's built in. It's just kind of built into the way we consume games, right? We don't do cartridges anymore. Those days are long gone. So, like, I just think that those features, I mean, when you really look at the features, once again, they're not enough to delay a game of this caliber. This is a pillar of Xbox. This isn't Rocket League. You know what I mean? Like, you can't, how are you going to tell people that waited 5 years? Yeah, can you guys wait another 3-4 months because split screen didn't make it? Hell no, man! You don't get that shit out of here. I don't want to hear that.
I think there would be more pitchforks and torches at that point.
Chat, look, Shout out to TJ. TJ was in chat too, in party chat. We talked about this as well, but there's no way that's a way harder. People, you think people are gonna just run with this whole these features not missing? No, they're gonna run with that delay. Like that delay, or that's gonna run. That's gonna do some numbers, Pong, right?
Of course.
That's gonna do some. Somebody gonna be doing some. IGN gonna be doing some numbers with that one. I'm telling you right now. Hey, there's no way. This game. Like I said, if it works, if it runs the way it should run, if all these other modes, everything they stuffed into the game, me even being like a novice to the genre, and I'm always gonna defer to like everybody that plays this game way more than me. People like Dave, people like you, Fuzz, people like Steel, people like Cold, all those people that play really take the time and care and really have a passion for this game. I'm gonna defer to you guys for sure. But ultimately, I don't think, just from my subjective consumer, eyeball standpoint, that's not enough, man. Like this game it means too much to Xbox. People have waited too long. That's not a big enough reason. Patch that stuff in later. People will be okay. Like if the game hits, people will be fine. We're okay to wait for that. We can wait till December, January. That stuff will come. Those modes will be fine. Like I'm good. Like I don't need this game being delayed any further than it already is. We already see what that looks like. Yeah. And it's not. It's never a easy conversation. It never really is. So I don't really think that'd be a benefit at all to Forza to do that at this point.
Awesome. Yeah, I think for me the biggest takeaway, and we kind of talked about this last night on Xbox Ultimate, was that they would have been better off not saying anything on some of these features missing, considering one in particular wasn't available in their last title. So if it's not in the last title, I guess it's safer to assume that it won't be in the newer title. But it's great for their, I guess not the clarity or transparency, I guess you could say, but overall they probably could have sat on that one until launch and stuff like that. I mean, we look at GT7, they sat on microtransactions until after launch. Their split screen is still broken, even though they say they're going to fix it each time there's a patch. And there wasn't quite the uproar in regards to it. Like I would say if there's anything that I've seen of Forza over these past few months that is I wouldn't say concerning, but more of a disappointment, is the starting track list. And the only reason why I say that, they started off saying that they're going to focus more so on or be more of a racing focus. So they have more race cars than, not really regular cars, but like the limo or like a Prius. Those aren't really race-worthy cars, so they're not going to be there, at least for now, and at launch and stuff. They're going to mainly focus on like the new like P1 and P2 type cars for IMSA and things like that. But when it comes to tracks, they're starting off with 20, with at least 3 of them being fictional tracks. They're not carrying over all of their fictional tracks, which is kind of a good thing. But out of the remaining tracks, it looks like they're cutting it down to the wire, where the last remaining spots, they haven't confirmed Bathurst, which is a legendary track. They haven't confirmed Nürburgring, which is a legendary track. They haven't confirmed Daytona, also a legendary track, which those 3 I think almost have to be there. But then there's things like Sonoma and Watkins Glen and Sebring and Lime Rock and quite a few others, like Coda or the Circuit of the Americas out in Texas and stuff like that, which would be cool tracks to have, of which all of them they've been in the previous Motorsport 7. So that's my only gripe with the game. But they still have a lot of other legendary tracks already in place. They already confirmed Indianapolis, they already confirmed Spa, they already confirmed Barcelona, and quite a few others. So they at least have a lot of their ducks in a row. It's more so like, instead of this being like, a perfect 10 out of 10, it's like a 9.99 or something like that for not having the tracks. But the other stuff, as far as the missing features, they would have probably been better off doing kind of like what they did with Motorsport 7 and work those in, as opposed to being as vocal or as transparent up front. But that's my piece on it. Thank you guys for your feedback on that. yeah, I don't think this is worthy of a delay at this point. I think it's just more so keep us posted. Let us know. Don't go completely silent on if they are going to ever bring in split screen. Don't go silent for like a year or 2 years until like the pitchforks are out again type of thing.
Yeah.
But just keep the fans posted. You know, give us a confirmation list of the tracks. Without waiting until like a week before launch, and then show more of the gameplay, show more of the features in action, and if at all possible, even have a demo, which they've done in the past. They don't really need to do it now with Game Pass, but that would be about the only suggestions I have for them.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much for your feedback on that. Thank you for letting me ramble, and
Yeah.
thanks to everyone for in the chat for listening to us. But now it's time for your topic, Paul.
Go ahead, man. Take it away.
Well. Yeah. So, it's temperature check time, folks. It is Modern Warfare 3. We got some news this week about Modern Warfare 3. Now, we all know that this was initially, and we talked about it here, started as DLC for Modern Warfare 2, right? And then we switched it over to a full-blooded game, all right, coming out, a full release. We've talked about this game as, speculation town goes, as whether or not maybe Activision did this to get out of their contract with Sony quicker due to the looming acquisition, of course, and whether that was something that had an effect on this. Modern Warfare 3 now, as it is fully known, we got word this week that, and this is curious, but for the first time, we're going to get carryover from Modern Warfare 2, right? So all Modern Warfare 2 bundles, weapons, operators will carry over from Modern Warfare to Modern Warfare 3. All Modern Warfare 2 weapons will maintain their level status, including camos and attachments unlocked in Modern Warfare 3. Double XP tokens from Modern Warfare 2 will even work in Modern Warfare 3. We've gotten some smoke about some very nostalgic maps, such as Terminal, being available day one at launch for Modern Warfare 3. So I want to get everybody's temperature here. For the first time ever, we're seeing some carryover. Now, my speculation is that this is because it was originally being built as DLC, so it would make sense that stuff would carry over because as DLC, of course, you're going to use the same weapons that you've unlocked in Modern Warfare 2. Because it was going to be Modern Warfare 2 DLC. So, of course, the fact is, no matter how this happened or why this happened, this is something that a lot of people, a lot of us in these types of games have been asking for. People spend a lot of money, and every year a new game comes out and nothing carries over. Now, whether or not this goodwill continues forward, I sure hope they see success from this, and I sure hope it does. But I want to get everybody's temperature in the room as far as Modern Warfare 3 goes. We got a lot of games this year, 2023 being the greatest of all time to some of us already. And that's just, again, we just talked about Forza, which is coming out. We know Starfield's going to be there. There is so much to play. So I want to get everybody's opinion here. And I'll start with you, Dave, of course, as our guest. I don't know if you've played any Modern Warfare 2. I don't know if you have any interest in Call of Duty at all as a franchise. But knowing that your stuff from Modern Warfare 2 does carry over, are you thinking about, and again, we're going to go under the assumption that this does not come into Game Pass. Okay, we're gonna lead this topic with that. This is not coming into Game Pass, even if the ABK deal is done. They are not going to have the rights because we also got word this week that PlayStation is still getting the beta early as well. So that means those marketing rights are still in place, which ultimately probably more than likely means that we can't get it in Game Pass, even if the ABK deal is finalized. So, Dave, for you, does this give you any more push to jump into Modern Warfare 3, or were you already jumping in, or are you absolutely not playing Modern Warfare 3 this year? What's going on with Call of Duty, and where are you at?
Well, I've played Call of Duty, a lot of the older games. I haven't played the new one, the one that's currently out. I haven't had a chance to be honest.
Sure.
But would it make a difference as far as like, if I own that one and then got this game and there was stuff carried, that would be fantastic. I think it's it's the smart thing to do. I agree with you. It's, whether it was accidental or on purpose, as far as, what their original intent was, making it an add-on, and then decided to go ahead and make it its full standalone game. I think that it's a win-win for them, because it shows goodwill, whether they intended it to or not. I know there's a lot of people, a huge amount of people out there that are very heavily invested in the last game, or in any of the Call of Duties, and
Really,
then knowing that this stuff is already going to carry over for them, that's more of an incentive for them to keep playing. And then it's plus it's cross play, so that's, to me, it's more it makes it even more accessible. So yeah, it's a win all the way around. I would definitely I'm like a lot of people, waiting to see what happens when it comes to the launch date, as to whether it's going to be in Game Pass or not. I do also agree with you that most likely it won't be in Game Pass this year.
Correct.
But I believe that maybe everything else, maybe even last year's, the current year's game, will be coming to Game Pass when the other one releases. So
that's a legitimate thing. I would say that.
That would be amazing, because that would still get him in the right track. So I don't know.
Correct.
I think it's nothing but positivity that those things are going to carry over. And if Microsoft will be more of a company that would support the carryover of future items into games than Activision would be. So it's a happy accident, maybe, and something that Microsoft most likely, would try their best to continue in the future, especially since, like, these two game titles, being number 2 and then now number 3, are so closely tied to the same, Call of Duty area. Because, normally it's Black Ops, or it's this, or it's that, or it's World War II, or, they go all over the place. Or being basically staying the same and just continuing that great storyline. I think it's a win-win. I'll quit rambling, but I think it's a very positive.
I like to hear from the perspective of even people that don't necessarily play the game, because again, it eventually will be coming to Game Pass, and obviously even if you're not somebody who necessarily jumped in recently to Call of Duty, down the road when it's in Game Pass, you're going to probably be checking it out just cause, right? It's one of the biggest games every year, if not the biggest game every year. So why wouldn't you, right? It's available for you. Jump in. So down the road, it's going to be something that maybe you think about, especially if they do decide to start this carryover. Again, I'm not 100% convinced that even underneath Xbox they will do that, but it's something I definitely like to see the industry move towards. I think there should be some reward for the people who do spend money on the game, and it becomes a yearly release like Call of Duty, like Madden, like 2K, any of those games, that there is some type of benefit for those players who spent a lot of money. In a lot of cases, even for somebody who's a budget gamer that spends $20 on one skin, why should that skin not be playable the next year? Why should that not give them something towards next year's new game? Even though it's a yearly release, they count it as a new game. So thanks for those thoughts, Dave. I appreciate that for sure, brother. Let's go to PTK here. PTK Blam. Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3, we got some carryover. It started as DLC. Now they're charging full price this year for a full-fledged game, supposedly. Sledgehammer, the least favorite of all the Call of Duty devs, is leading this, but obviously we know that since it started as DLC, there's no doubt that Infinity Ward and even Treyarch probably had a hand in this game to get it up and running to a full-fledged release. I gotta believe, as always, all hands on deck. I can't believe they got it done this way, but this is what they're doing. So for you, PTK, and I don't know how much you put into Modern Warfare 2, but does this, this small carryover, it's kind of a big deal because it's never been really done before. Does this entice you to jump into Modern Warfare 3, or is this you're so packed you're like, screw it, I'm going to wait until it drops in the Game Pass whenever that happens next year or whatever the deal is?
Probably the latter, to be honest with you. Just to keep it 100. I'm never going to lie to you, Chad, I promise with you. But no, ultimately, it is a welcome change, and I hope the community embraces it. I haven't really checked the temperature of the community
Yeah.
and really looked on Twitter to see how everybody's taking this. To be honest, I don't really know because I'm not too attached to the community as I used to be back in the heyday, early Call of Duty. So, but for me, it's a welcome change. I don't know if this is going to continue, whether or not, and when Xbox owns them or not, are they going to continue to do this? Now, the one thing we do know about Xbox is game preservation is something that matters to them. So them doing this is not is less shocking than say PlayStation doing it, right? It'd be incredibly shocking if Sony did something like this. So this makes sense, especially where the company's going. We know this deal is going to get done at some point. I know you mentioned how much did this deal actually influence this change, right?
Yeah.
Like, did they just wake up one day and like, you know what? Like, I think that DLC is good enough to make a game. Like, I think we should make a game. I did they really do that? Or was this like a Bobby, like, you know what? Like, we can go ahead and actually just really make this a game, get this deal out the way. Like, maybe,
Yep.
I mean, I know they still got the deal done and everything, and Sony signed, but like, how much did that actually influence this? Did they know this was already going this direction? Like, maybe we'll never know. We did get some behind the scenes stuff, but we didn't really get anything specific to this. But I don't know if I'll jump back in on this. I mean, it's cool for the people that played. Like you said, I feel like people that put the amount of time in a Modern Warfare that they do, this is a very, very welcome change. Like you said, skins going over, progress, tokens, all that cool shit that people earn and put actual real money into, being able to be, added into this next game right off the rip. That's a W for consumers. And once again, it's one of the biggest games. I don't care how you feel about Call of Duty. It gets played by, it's always top 5, top 3 every single year, pretty much year round.
Right.
And it's kind of always been that way, irregardless of what we actually think about the game. We talk shit about Call of Duty every year, and it just continues to chug away, and do what it does every year. But I think this is definitely a welcome change. I don't know. Maybe this is like you think this is like a Bobby Kotick olive branch?
No, I think
he's too shallow for that. I'm giving Bobby too much credit. Why did I do that? What the hell am I talking about? I'm tripping, chat. I'm giving Bobby credit up here. Take that back. I gotta edit that out. It's the first time I ever do that. But anyway, it's a welcome change, and I like to see it. And chat, I like to know what you guys think. Are you guys jumping in on this MW3 or like? And like you said, this interesting Sledgehammer. You mentioned it's the least favorite, right?
Yeah.
I agree. I do agree with that. I mean, I think Treyarch is better. Obviously, Infinity Ward's better. So more notable. They do better. They do make better Call of Duties. So I agree with that. But I don't know. I don't know. This might be big, and I hope this continues to go forward. I really hope that the Call of Duty community is happy about this. You never know. Like, sometimes I feel like.
No, they you know what? Again, the community here is always the most vocal and the most hardcore and the enthusiasts, right? For them, this just confirms that this was DLC from the beginning. Most of the comments were like, "So you're selling us full price DLC?" Great.
Yeah,
because again,
I can see. No, in all fairness, I understand that position as well too. We got to look at all the perspective. I shout out to Steel Rain, that RTS point of view, right? We got to pull back and do what we got to do. So I understand like that perspective, because at the end of the day, people spend money, real money, on this stuff. Like, there are people that are heavily invested, and that is a real like point of contention.
Correct, 100%, and as it should be, because again, it's something that is a problem with these games that do come out yearly or that do have these expensive monetization.
COD just needs to commit. COD is like a toxic relationship with itself. It doesn't know what it wants to be. Yeah. And it just needs to commit to being a yearly thing. Like, just commit. I mean, once you get the formula right, I know some people say we need to take a break, and that still might happen once the ink is dry on this deal. That's not confirmed, though. It is not confirmed that they're going to. They're. I know it was at one point, but since we got this drop this year, I don't know if that whole idea is out the window.
Yeah, and I'd love to think that they eventually do that, because Phil was so kind of adamant about it. And again, that's the only way really that you're going to be able to pull those other teams off is if you do start giving a break or, somehow divvy up the workload somewhere else. But the break would definitely be the quickest way to do that. So I do hope, again, PTK, that becomes a reality. So, but overall, like I said, hopefully I would just want to see a groundswell of people that do, because no matter what, it's still going to be one of the biggest games of the year. I just want to see a groundswell of people show appreciation that this happened, or however it happened, the fact that they get to keep the weapons, and maybe it does make them second guess their process, and going forward they find a way to do some carryover, whatever that may be for people. Because again, as a consumer, as somebody who is a customer, it would just be a fantastic win for them to say, yeah, going forward from here on out, we're going to make sure that you get to carry over at least something, like, or we're going to give you credit for your purchases, a portion of your purchases that you made in the previous Call of Duty, whatever they could do. Maybe I'm just dreaming and that's never going to happen, but I'd love to see it happen. So I just thought this was a nice, again, by accident, because it's already programmed in there, whatever, it doesn't matter. I think it was a nice thing that came up this week about Modern Warfare 3. So PTK, I appreciate your thoughts, brother, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's get to Fuzzy to end this thing. Fuzzy, Modern Warfare 3, we got some positive news this week. What do you think, brother? Is this going to get you to jump into Modern Warfare 3? Or again, like most of us, there's so many games out this year. Yeah, I'll see you when you come into Game Pass. What do you think here, brother?
I'm probably going to wind up making the purchase no matter what.
Okay.
My sons are big into Call of Duty.
Yep.
Like I'll play campaign. I don't know if I'll play it day one,
Right.
but I will definitely play it at some point. But for them, they between was it Escape from Tarkov, Modern Warfare 2,
Yep.
Battlefield, like they, if it's a shooter, they're going to want it. So it's one of those that's it's on the must buy list anyway. So having their a lot of their weapon skins carry over, that's awesome. It just makes it that much easier. But I would love for the fact, like what kind of like what you guys are talking about as far as the break, and hopefully that happens after the ink is dry type of thing. Remember when you had talked about the like a classic mode or something like that, or a classic?
Yeah.
Do that as the in between break game.
Yeah.
That I think would be, because not that, yes, I'm not a dev, I don't know all the ins and outs of what it would take to make a game, but I think making a classic where it's like current visuals, but maybe the less sliding or less of the 360 no scope stuff of today versus more of the old school movement and things like that. Give that a try. If it hits, then that's your off one that you may not have to put as much dev time into in between the the titles, and then charge maybe 30 or something like that. Like, not that I know these companies love money, but if you charge 30 on something like that, that's more of like a remaster or a remake or like a classic mode, charge half price, see if double the people buy it compared to normal. I think it would actually hit probably a bit more, considering that it is a lower price, and then more people that instead of game share, they might just buy it outright, be like, it's $30, yeah, I'm buying this, as opposed to waiting until my brother buys it or whatever the case may be, kind of thing. But yeah, skins carrying over, please let this be a thing moving forward. I really wish EA would adopt like maybe a platform game every 5 years, and then you add the seasons and the rosters, for following years, kind of thing, at a lower price. But this is a step in the right direction. Hopefully it continues, moving forward with future titles for Call of Duty. I think at some point, looking at like things like Fortnite, some of their stuff carries over between platforms, so yeah, they should at least give this a try. I mean, I guess we won't know what Fortnite's plan is until there's a Fortnite 2, if there is ever a thing. But they keep on evolving that game, so it makes sense that their stuff carries over. I think just some certain weapons get sunsetted because of them being either OP or out of like a particular season that they'll rotate out or something like that. But Call of Duty needs to do this more often, and hopefully me supporting it will help them continue to do that. So we'll see.
Perfect. Perfect. I love it. Fuzzy is one of the people that do get it yearly just because of the kids and that kind of stuff. It's a great perspective. And like I said, I do hope personally that this is not an anomaly, that this becomes a trend. And I hope that they find some way, because again, we know for a fact they could do it if they wanted to. I understand the business side. I understand why you want people rebuying everything and losing the progression to start all over again. I get all of that. But again, I'm not asking for the world. I'm not asking for every single thing ever to transfer over to the new game. Just give me something. Give me little pieces of what I did in the last game or what I purchased in the last game. Give me something for that in the next game as a supporter, as somebody who does obviously spend money and time, a lot of time in these games. Give me something for it. That's all I'm asking for. So great thoughts, brothers. Again, smaller topic, but I thought it was a different one this week. So thank you all for that, and I appreciate it. PTK, back to you, sir.
Awesome, man. Shout out to everybody watching in chat. You guys are freaking amazing, man. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. Shout out to Jasper. I forgot to say hello to you earlier, my dude, man. Great topic, man. Definitely a great topic. So we can actually got plenty of time to get into some stuff from chat. There's some other stuff that I wanted to get into today. So let's take some questions from chat. We'll go ahead and if you guys got any questions, we'll go ahead and drop some down in there. Then we'll get into some other stuff. Unless you had anything else, Pong, Fuzz, that was on the docket today. I know there was some other stuff that happened this week.
Let me see.
So chat, if you guys want to go ahead and drop some questions in chat, we got plenty of time to take a few questions, and we'll get into whatever you guys want to talk about if we missed anything.
I guess the one quick thing to touch on, I don't know if everybody's seen the videos. I haven't watched them in full just yet, but the ones from Obsidian about Avowed and the more focus on it being a single player as opposed to the original co-op or multiplayer setup that they were.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, I did hear about that as well.
I'm glad that they had the time and the chance to make that change and or going, moving forward, going with that single player aspect. I mean, I know we always love having our co-op games, but having a single player game, especially from that dev that they do a great job when it came to, the Outer Worlds and things like that. So having it as a single player, it will hopefully, I guess land better in the sense of, I know a lot of people have asked for that just one where it's like the single player, story driven narrative kind of game. And this will be one of the titles that they can actually point to for it. So yeah, I'm still looking forward to Avowed. It still has an interesting look and not as familiar with Pillars of Eternity, but in all, it just looks like a cool game, and can't wait until they give us like a release date or a release window kind of thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's a great show. I'm glad you brought that up, chat, too, as well. You two as well, Fuzz, because that's such a big deal, too, right? From Obsidian, that switch, because it could have been a co-op game, right? Like, I don't think really anybody would have had necessarily an issue had it come out and been co-op. But like you said, just that studio's DNA and what people were expecting, from a game like Avowed. They wanted that single player, that Obsidian feel. It's not Elder Scrolls. I know people want to make that comparison. I'm sorry. I know it's natural too. People do it all the time. It's because let's be honest. I know that was some pushback, and I don't agree with the pushback, but there was some pushback that this didn't feel, the reveal wasn't what people thought it was going to be. People thought they were looking more Elder Scrolls, and that's not what Obsidian is. They're their own company. They do things differently, hence grounded, hence, obviously Outer Worlds 2 is coming out as well. They do things differently. They make different kinds of games. And the fact that they made that change, even though I know the studio head said he was actually pushing for co-op because that was easy to sell. Yeah. When they were looking to be purchased, that was an easier sell than just a single player RPG kind of game, because there's so many out there. As Pong, you made that reference earlier that we do get good RPGs fairly often, especially like I say the last 5 to 7 years, we've gotten them like every year, every other year almost, right? Damn near generational ones. You got Witcher 3, Cyberpunk, goddamn Elden Ring. You get generational kind of games all, fairly often now. So yeah, I'm glad they made that choice, because we need that from them. Obviously, we're going to get it from Outer Worlds too when that comes out, maybe in a year or two. We'll probably see more about that next year. I hope so. But yeah, that's kind of Pong. I don't know if you get your thoughts out on that.
He might be muted.
Oh, you muted, Pong?
I think he stepped away.
Oh yeah, that's right. Go ahead, Dave.
I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the choice they made. I think they said that they originally were thinking about doing the co-op mode because it would be more appealing to other people to try and pick it up, other developers and things to have interest in the game. But then once they were purchased, by Microsoft, and Microsoft was looking at the game and they're like, do what you want to do, and like single players where they have their best luck and their best focus on, and it just makes more sense for them to go with what you're good at. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it looks fantastic. It's it's going to be another feather in the cap and another great game for us to play in Game Pass. I'm so excited, man. Such a great year.
No,
Nice.
definitely for sure. And just throw this back at you, Fuzz, because
Mhm.
I mean, obviously we've talked about Avowed at length. That's one that was like a top 3 game for me that I wanted to see at the showcase. Right, I said that going into the showcase prior to, so I know it was pretty high on the list for you as well too. So I mean, how do you think? Like, obviously, you play these games as well. You're pretty neutral on the RPGs, but like, what do you think about the change? How do you think compared to it had it been co-op versus what it ended up actually being? You think that change wouldn't have gone over well?
I think if they had stayed with it going co-op, I think the big drawback would be some of the questions that we heard from Redfall as far as like progression. Will your the story completion aspect, would you have to redo those missions and things along those lines? So I think overall, moving that transition to a single player setup made it probably easier for them, one, to focus on the storyline, focus on bugs and missions, and sometimes like we even see it in Diablo, how like certain missions are bugged where you can start them but you can't either enter the cave or something along those lines. So I think overall it made for easier to release the game, or easier to complete the game and things along those lines. So they don't have to spend as much time making sure, okay, we have to have this outcome when it's in co-op versus this one when it's solo. I think from a community standpoint, if it came out co-op, a lot of people would have probably tried co-op in the beginning and then may have fallen off and then just focus on the single player aspect later on, finishing out their story. Or those that don't finish it would probably just leave off wherever they left off in co-op, and then the other people that they played with might just finish off the story solo, and hopefully they would have those options kind of built in at that point, which would have probably made for sometimes a messy not really completion, but you'd have like missions that you can't redo or start over or finish because your co-op partner is part of that, and they have to activate something to get the mission to continue or to get it to complete and things along those lines. So that's my biggest take from it, as far as like that transition being a better move. And I think the community overall, I've seen some people, have kind of a negative take on it, but I would say it's few and far between, because the ones that usually have a negative take on it are the ones that would have a negative take even if they said that it was originally co-op and changed last minute to single player, or if they said it was single player in the beginning and now it's being changed to co-op. So it's like I think some in the audience won't be able to be pleased either way you look at it. But then again, some of those that are vocal like that aren't usually rooting for Xbox or rooting for Obsidian or any of the Xbox owned studios and stuff.
Okay, awesome. I do want to get to a couple of these questions that I know chat. Shout out to you for, thank you for dropping them in there too to make them easy to find. So I know Zinc, you had a question. It says, does Sony have a gaming release roadmap? That's a very interesting question. We actually talked about this, I think last week, even maybe in the week before that. But that's something that we've all wondered. Do they have a roadmap?
Sure they do. Sure they do.
How about you tell us, Pong, what that
Come
roadmap
on,
is?
listen. I can't tell you
enlighten
about
us.
it, but I'll let you. I'll let the one and only MBG, who put it out this week, the roadmap for the next 9 months, and he did this major PlayStation console exclusive game scheduled to release in the next 9 months. So, guys, I want you to listen to this, and you can tell us what you think about this, okay? Because this is the roadmap that a obviously very well known Sony fan, hardcore fan, believes is the roadmap and why the next 9 months are going to be great on PlayStation. Firewall Ultra. That's the start off point. Confirmed for August 24th, 2023. It might be scratching your head and asking what Firewall Ultra is.
Is it a VR game?
Yep, it's a VR game, everybody. So there's number one.
Okay.
That's a major PlayStation console exclusive.
Okay, go ahead. Continue.
Mhm.
Stellar Blade. Confirmed for
that's-
2023, but where's it been? Nobody
Nowhere.
knows. Some
Nowhere. We
people
don't
are
know.
thinking that's one of the internally delayed games. There's been a little smoke this week that it wasn't in great shape when Sony took it over, right? So Stellar Blade, he's giving that one because it was confirmed for 2023. Again, don't know the date, don't know when it's coming, but hey, that's according to a Sony fan. Helldivers 2, okay? I give him this one, right? Confirmed 2023, rumored for October
This one might be
2023.
better than people think it's going to be.
Yeah, Helldivers 2.
Helldivers the game.
Yeah, Helldivers 1 was fantastic. Now they've changed it dramatically, right? Because it was a top-down twin-stick shooter
Yeah.
from before. I'm
Third
interested in this
person now,
game.
right?
Third person. It's coming. It's coming to PC. Looks really good. So I'll give them Helldivers 2. Absolutely good game, right? Spider-Man 2, of course, confirmed for October 20th, 2023. We know that one. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, confirmed early 2024, January through April. Well, I guess as of right now, sure. We know how this goes, though. We don't know for sure if it'll be dropping then, but that's okay. Fine. Final Fantasy VII
Will Square
Rebirth.
Enix still be in business by then?
Yeah, that's another good question there, Fuzz.
Or will they be owned by Microsoft?
Yeah, or they will be one. Yeah, one or two. And then Rise of the Ronin from Team Ninja. Confirmed 2024, rumored early 2024, January through April. So again, this is their roadmap, a VR game. I'll give them Helldivers 2. Give obviously Spider-Man 2. Both of those are solid. Stellar Blade, we don't know about. We haven't heard it. Wasn't at their showcase, which was a little strange for a game that's supposedly coming out this year still. And then you've got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You're crossing your fingers is going to be early next year. And Rise of the Ronin, rumors that it's going to be early next year. But that's your 9-month roadmap for Sony. Outside of that, who the hell knows? Nobody. Nobody. So there you go.
Oh, don't forget, there's some remakes in there. There's supposed to be a remake of Horizon Zero Dawn, I think.
Maybe. Well,
And
we don't know,
then,
Fuzz.
Last
Yeah.
of Us 2. Or maybe that's a PC port. I don't know.
That's probably a PC port more than likely, but who knows? Maybe they'll slap it with a PS5, definitive edition, Last of Us 2. I mean, that's certainly possible as well. But yeah, that's it. That's it, folks. That's what you got. There you go. PTK, you asked.
I mean, that's a hell of a list.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a list.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
interesting.
It's such a hell of a list that Sony hasn't even talked about it.
Right.
I got that one in the tuck for sure. So let's get to this other question from Bacon. Shout out to Bacon. We'll get to you. We're gonna get to your question too, Luis. I'll make sure we do, brother. Sorry about that. But Bacon said, "What are your thoughts on Xbox not doing a mid-gen upgrade when PS5 will be rumor? Will this be a mistake? I think it will be." Shout out to Bacon for that question. So anybody want to jump in on that? You want to take that, Dave? Since you're our guest, you want to?
I'll just say this: that there is no reason to do a mid-gen refresh, no matter what Sony comes up with. It's just no reason to do it. It's a waste of money and waste of time, and focus on the next gen console. All your resources on that for the next, for like 8 years from now, or however long it is till it comes out. I just don't see that it's necessary. It's such a, I mean, for Sony, they need to have something out. I don't even know that it's going to be a pro. Most likely, it's just going to be a fixing the problems with the original system release.
That is a great point.
So
are we assuming that it is a pro, like a upgrade specs, or wasn't there some kind of leak or something that it was?
Yeah.
there's always rumors about
Okay.
that, but that doesn't mean that it's going to happen. And I think there's just a lot of fanboys are really hyped about it, and they're just trying to wish it into existence.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. Like, So the only pushback is that I know Phil did mention that they'll never lose this power narrative thing again. Obviously, times change, focus change. They didn't Game Pass didn't exist back then. All this stuff they didn't have Bethesda. They didn't have all this other stuff and Activision on the table when he said that. So I know things do change. So I'm not gonna hold him to that. And I don't know, like you said, I don't know how locked in or how much you guys feel those rumors are true about the actual spec upgrade. So that's another question too, because like you said, we can't necessarily assume that it's going to be a spec upgrade. I mean, the biggest feature was the detachable disk drive, correct? I mean, that was the biggest feature, as far as I know.
That's the slim version, right?
The slim. Again, so this is a different.
So this is the pro version.
Pro,
right?
okay, got you. So
I'm
thinking of two different SKUs.
Yeah. The slim is supposed to be later this year. That's when we got video on this week, supposedly of the case. It doesn't look much different. It's 5 centimeters shorter.
It melted.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so, definitely.
Right. So that's supposedly that version, but again, it didn't make any sense because the video that we saw, it also still included the disk drive, which supposedly they were taking out. So I don't understand. So there's some questions here. No, this is the pro version that Tom Henderson over at Insider Gaming was talking about. And the rumored specs were that it would be more powerful, that they were targeting 4K 60 frames and potentially 8K. Okay, whatever. That's BS. But they wanted a definitely 4K 60, and the big thing for them was better ray tracing. If this does come out, if this becomes a reality and it does become, it shows up, it's more powerful than the Series X, will it be strange for Xbox not to do a mid-gen refresh? Yes, because think about this. Call of Duty is going to be a first-party title. If you don't match that, whatever Sony does, and that system is more powerful than your most powerful console, the best Call of Duty version will be on PlayStation. As a first
Not necessarily.
Yes, Dave, they're going to have to do. It's going to be that way, sir.
Dude,
there's no way.
They have to have content parity. Content parity doesn't have to mean they have to meet the standard of a better system. It means they have to be the same on both systems.
System can do more. That's what it's always been. That's why the DualSense controller functions have always been over there, right? Because the devs have always done that. If one system can do something that another system can't, then it doesn't count for the parity clause. And the devs are going to put the best version out that they possibly can, right? No matter who it is. I think, Dave, that you would see that system being taken advantage of even from a first-party Call of Duty. I really do. Maybe I'm wrong. You could be absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Here's what I said, and I said this I think last week when we talked about this. I wouldn't do a mid-gen refresh if I was Xbox, even how strange it would be. I would lose the power narrative for a few years. It wouldn't matter to me. I would launch early next gen. That's what
you did say that.
And some other people picked, also have thought about this and brought up, I think Colt did a video and he said 2026. He actually went even earlier than I did. I said 2027 because right now it's assumed 2028 is when next gen starts. I launch early and I take that right back and use the full power of my first party. That's going to be gigantic, which would be a huge advantage out the gate. If I got out a year or 2 years earlier than the competition with a full-fledged next-gen console, and I can guarantee I've got first-party titles like Elden Ring, Elder Scrolls coming out. I got Call of Duty underneath my belt, and I can say that I've got the best version of Call of Duty on my side. Like, those are huge W's that the other side just can't compete with. That's what I personally would do. I would skip the mid-gen refresh, take the hit. I
like that idea.
That sounds so smart, to be honest with you. That is, it really does. That is awesome. Yeah, that's really the way it should go.
You'll probably have, closer to closer to GTA coming out. Maybe it's already come out by then, obviously, but maybe whatever refresh version, remix version that they obviously are going to make, you get a better version of that to start with. All kind of cool little tidbits. Like you said, that's a really smart way to go about it. Damn it, Pong. Finally, man. God, Pong usually, man, he usually going full scorched earth here.
Yeah.
But that's actually a great point. If you're gonna lose the power narrative for a couple years, take that hit in the short run, and then maybe, like you said, start out, get a jump, maybe a year early on the newest console. Yeah.
Yep, you got a great deal with AMD. Obviously, if you're going to stick with AMD, you got a great partnership there. Take full advantage of it. Say you want, yes, is it going to be more expensive? Of course it is. But you take the latest and greatest tech. You try to get it in the box, and you get it out the door, and say, go ahead, try to match us, Sony, because our first party, you can't match. And we're going to have games out the gate, either at launch or within the first year. You have this huge library of exclusive titles or titles that are going to play the best. Again, we know gamers. We're all sort of tech heads to different varying degrees. We all like the latest and greatest. You shoot out the gate with a bunch of great titles, you're going to have a huge head start over the competition. Huge.
Absolutely. Great choice. So yeah, they can definitely do it for a few years with the reason this is all possible. And I want to make sure we make this clear. There's a reason why this is all possible. For one, Game Pass, you still don't have anything because it's going to match the Game Pass output and value. So that's still always going to be a big thing in your back pocket, Pong. The value, having a value always on your side.
Yep.
It's such a huge W, right? Like being the pro consumer, having that image, always being able to have that more budget option, being more consumer friendly. That's a big W. Then you got the IPs, like you said. Sony can't really match the output maybe they can match the quality. That remains to be seen. We'll see in the long run, but the output for sure. And then you got, it's a lot. You got a lot, and there's a reason why they're able to carry that over. So I love that idea, man. But I think we can take one more question. Chat. So somebody go ahead and drop a question in chat, and we'll take that one, and we're going to wrap this thing up. Who do we miss? Luis. Yeah. Go ahead.
Like, I think it was one about the no Russian sequence being in the Modern 3.
Yeah.
Do we think it will be there? I know that it was rumored that it would be in like what was supposed to be the DLC for Modern Warfare 2.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I kind of hope it is there, but I know that especially considering the Ukrainian and Russian thing going right now, I have a feeling that they're going to play the safe card and avoid that, at least for the meantime. I would like to see that mission just for the nostalgia aspect, but it's like also I don't like when games shy away from real world events kind of thing. So I'm hoping it's there, but if Microsoft is going to own them, I can see them possibly shying away from it just so it doesn't bring controversy to their doorstep when that game comes out. That's my only thoughts on it. But what do you guys think?
I mean, like you said, it's a slippery slope, right? All the stuff going on in this country, the political aspects to it. Do you want to make, the image? Do you want that being something that people remember? The ink's not quite dry yet. I'm sure it'll be by then. Like before this game comes out, I think they got to the end of this month, right? I believe even the CMA has to the end of this month. So, we should know by the end of this month, and have that complete. But even then, I think it's a pretty slippery slope, right? Like I don't know how true the rumor was that it was going to be part of the DLC, but I'm like you said, I'm not a fan. I mean, we got it off when it was in the game originally, so it's not like it'd be a surprise. You know what I mean? Like the content is there. I understand what it would look like and the conversations that would probably come because of it, but it is content that was already in the game. I mean, maybe didn't they have a feature where you could skip it before?
Yeah.
So I mean, at least if you give them the option to skip it and not have to play it, maybe that's kind of your way out. Like, what? You don't necessarily have to see that scene. You can just skip it. Don't have to play it at all. Maybe that gives them a little bit leeway, but I know it's tough either way, man, because people are still going to ask the questions, why would you put this in the game?
Yeah. Nah. We got a game that just launched with bestiality in it.
Okay? I mean, no, I get it.
So honestly, we're way past that point. When that first dropped, okay, it was controversial, right? Because it pushed the boundaries. But gaming has come a long way since it first dropped. You do not censor this. It is a part of the original game. You do not shy away from it. You bring it out in its full glory. You leave it in there. If you want to still give people the option to skip it, that is fine. For the sensitive people out there that want to skip
that's what I was saying.
Fine. Yeah, absolutely 100%. But do not censor yourself. And again, video games have pushed that boundary a lot further since that point. So no, you keep it in there. You keep it in there for sure.
All right.
What are your thoughts, Dave?
Oh, I agree with Pong 100%. I think it's you know, it's definitely should be left in there, but with the
Mhm.
option to skip it. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm after they had such a hard time with 6 Days in Fallujah, which it's a game I'm still looking forward to in early access on PC. I just hope they can continue having that mission in there. But yeah, I think the skip option is probably the way to go, considering that the whatever pushback, it's like at least you can skip it, and
Yeah, you
it
can always
has
say
a
that. You
age
can always say
rating, a
that.
mature
Yeah.
age rating, I think, for Call of Duty games anyway. So it's not like, oh well, my child. Well, don't buy it for your child.
Exactly, right. So there is that.
right,
I mean, that's realistically that's the reality of the situation. Parents should know what they're buying. If it's that serious, you have an
Yeah,
option to skip it, right? At the end of the day.
yeah, yeah. But awesome show, guys. Man, oh man. So many topics that we got through, and good questions as well, man. This
For
was
sure.
awesome show tonight.
Great show. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up on that point. Chat, you guys are amazing. We're actually ending right at 8. It's been a while since this has happened. So shout out to everybody in chat. You guys are fucking awesome. Once again, on your way out, please hit the like button, subscribe, show the love to the guests that came out and showed love to us today. Web Dave, man. It was amazing having you here once again, brother. I greatly appreciate you. Guys, roll out the red carpet. We do this for guests every single week. We show them love. So please go do that. Go follow outbreakgamer.com. I'm sure he's going to get in all of that. I don't want to steal your thunder, Dave. But once again, I, as the host of the Shop Podcast, I appreciate you coming on. Always love to have you here. Love your takes. Love your intelligence, man. We always have a great conversation. Have fun. It's like having a barbecue every time you're here, Dave. So shout out to you. But let everybody know where they can find you, brother. And once again, thank you for for being here.
well, dude, thank you so much for having me, and it's I love uh listening to Fuzzy and to Pong when they bring the topics to the table because it's they're always so well thought out, and that's what makes it a pleasure to watch this show because you guys really all work good together, and thank you so much for having me on, man. It's I just I have to show I'm kind of just sitting back and enjoying the show, and I'm like, oh, I'm on it. Okay, I gotta answer.
You do that happens to me sometimes. I lose track. Even as a host, I lose track of that I'm actually here. It's so comfortable. So
Yeah, exactly. That's what makes it great. So, guys, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Our show tomorrow night will be a good one. So, another fill in with Retri not going to be able to make it because of family matters, but he'll be back next week for sure. But we have Silent Cipher going to be jumping on with us as a guest co-host, and then we have Dirt Griggity, and then we also have Gaming Forte on
nice. That's
tomorrow.
an
So it's going to be
all-star
a
lineup.
good show for Gaming Council. Yeah, at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So hopefully you guys will jump on, join us, catch us after you get done watching Fonz's show. There you go. Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Awesome. Always love to have you here, Dave. Once again, guys, roll that road carpet out. Go support Dave, everything he's doing, the website. Go follow him on Twitter, all of that good, or formerly known as Twitter. Good Lord, X, whatever you want to call it. Go follow him on that app. All right. But a shout out to you, Dave, once again, man. Love everything you're doing. One of my favorite people to have on, man. I know we were talking about this pre-show, but much blessings and support to everything you're doing just outside
Thank
of
you.
outbreak.com and everything. So appreciate you for coming on and taking that time out. So chat, please go ahead and support that man and everything that he's doing over there, man. Glad to have you here once again. So let me throw this over to my two co-hosts, man. Two of the most amazing gamers I've ever met, just people in general. Pong, another great show in the books, brother. Dave here. Awesome, man. We had a good time. Chat was crazy. Had great questions, man. Yeah, let us know how you feeling, man.
Yeah, best way to end the Saturday night, and it was fantastic to have Dave here again, as always, brother. Thank you for joining us and giving us your time and your thoughts. Awesome. And of course, PTK and Fuzzy. Again, I say it every week, but man, nothing but love and respect to both of you, and I just love being here, man. So, great show, chat. You guys were absolutely incredible tonight. We actually got time for some questions, which is crazy.
Good. Yeah, right.
That is crazy. So that was fun. We haven't done that in a while, but again, what can I say? Just a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to wrap up the week right now with you guys. So thank you all for being here. Otherwise, Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on the X, formerly known as Twitter, of course. Follow me, I'll follow you back. Otherwise, you will get an extra dose of me tomorrow, Sunday, during a show. It has not been officially announced as of yet, but I'll be tweeting it out, obviously. But not Iron Lords and not Dave's show. So you guys can probably figure it out somewhere in the middle there. But I will be there tomorrow night. We'll have some fun, and I will get that information out. Otherwise, next week it starts all over again. Tuesdays, Xbox Factor Podcast, Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. All good things green every Tuesday on Xbox Factor. And then, of course, Thursday, it's PM in the PM. Pong and Mav in the PM. Maybe we'll change it to PCMR in the PM because him and I have both been rocking out Baldur's Gate. Poison Maniac, shout out to Poison. I think he was in here. He always tells us we're PCMR in the PM. But Thursday nights, PM in the PM, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. This past Thursday, we had Insipid Ghost, otherwise known as Luke Lore. Amazing. He's been here a bunch of times. Listen, he's just one of the great dudes in this community. Yeah, and we had an awesome time. He gave us 2 hours up front. So we had an awesome time with him. So go check that out. Otherwise, normally it is a 2-man show. But join us there every Thursday night. And then, of course, back on Fun Speculation Network yet again, Friday nights, Xbox Ultimate, where we never know how many people we're going to have on. Last night we had a nice big panel because 3-Bit came back and my brother from another Steel Rain joined us. So we had a nice big panel, big topics, big laughs, lots of going on. You always got to check out Xbox Ultimate because you never know what you're going to hear or what's going to be said next. And that always is 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time every Friday night. And then Saturday mornings, it's Living Split Screen. Again, we went for 4.5, nearly 5 hours today. My brother from another Steel Rain and I, we just love to get together Saturday mornings. We missed last week due to tech issues. That has been resolved. We were back at it this week with a little bit extra, always live, raw, and uncut every Saturday morning for you, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, Living Split Screen. Split Screen is all one word. Please continue to share us out. We're still on the mission. We might be in the YouTube program with their updated stats, but we are still on the mission to 1K. We are over. I think we're over 960 now. We're close to it. So please continue to be out, share us out, do all you can. You guys have been amazing. We always have a great time every Saturday morning. So be there next week for that. Otherwise, it is the golden age of gaming. People, truly is best time ever. There is something for everybody. In fact, there's probably too much for everybody, no matter where you're at, but I'm never going to complain about it. Get out there, play what you love what you play, and I'll talk to you real soon.
Awesome, man. Easiest way to follow Pong is just go follow him on Twitter. The man is all over the place every week, so to just keep up with him there, easiest way. But shout out to you, Pong, the battery of the Shop Podcast, always bringing that energy, man. Thank you so much, man. Every single week. And last but not least, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man. Another great show. Had Dave here, so a familiar face in the house. Great topics. Chat was awesome, man. Wrap this thing up, Fuzz.
Oh, yeah. It was awesome having you on here, Dave. Always a pleasure hearing your views and takes on things. Greatly appreciate you taking the time, man. Look forward to being on Xbox Lunch Break Special with you on Monday at 12 noon on Double Barrel Gaming. So see you there as well. Everybody here, definitely check that show out, as well as Dave's show tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on his channel. Gamers Council is always an awesome, chit chat about games, what they've been playing and whatnot. So everybody take the time, check that out tomorrow night as well. And then wish me luck tomorrow, because tomorrow afternoon or evening, I'm going to be on Weapon Wheel. So discussing Forza, and I guess I'm the only racer that they know. So they'll definitely be, giving my thoughts on Forza and GT7.
That'll be fun.
I'm pretty sure they're not going to like most of them, so it is what it is. But definitely check that out if you want to hear more of my thoughts on Forza. And then look forward to seeing everybody on FSP if you can. Check it out on on Fun Speculations Network at 10 p.m. Monday Eastern Standard Time. Basically, it's all platforms podcast and the games coming up for this week. So definitely check that out. And then look forward to hopefully seeing everybody here in the chat on Saturday next week, right here, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look forward to seeing you guys there. Thanks again.
Awesome. Always love having you here for us. That's gonna be great tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. That's different, man. I love you stepping outside of them boundaries. That's cool, man. Shout out to Weapon Wheel, man. I wish everybody nothing but success, man. Especially in this podcast space, we all need a little bit of help. So, but either way, man, shout out to you for being here this week. And last but not least, the host here at the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam. Catch up with me everywhere on X at PTK Blam. If you want to hit me up on Xbox, that's PTK Blam as well. Like I said, my DMs are always open for ideas. You want guests to come on, hit me up throughout the week, poll questions, things like that, different ideas. That I'm always open and available to that. So I appreciate you guys. Once again, if you're new here, not new, and you didn't hit the like button, please do so. Subscribe, free, doesn't cost anything. We put on a great show. So shout out to you guys, but I appreciate all the love and support every single week. But same time, same place next week. Please enjoy your weekend. Play some video games. Be safe. Have fun. Peace out, everybody.
Later.